finally responded proudly concerning a high school yearbook photo that proves she grew up in a wealthy.
The recent clash over Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's AOC background and political persona has sparked a firestorm of commentary, with critics like Greg Gutfeld and Megyn Kelly leading the charge in dismantling what they see as a carefully curated image. A high school yearbook photo surfaced, revealing AOC's upbringing in Yorktown Heights, a wealthy Westchester suburb, prompting her to respond with a quip, "See, I told you I went to high school." The remark, meant to deflect, instead opened the door to a broader critique of her narrative, policies, and public persona. Critics seized the moment, arguing that her claim to a gritty, working-class Bronx identity doesn't align with the reality of her privileged upbringing. What followed was a relentless takedown, not just of her background, but of the entire brand she's built, a blend of social media savvy, theatrical outrage, and recycled progressive ideals that her detractors say lack substance. AOC's response to the yearbook photo was lighthearted but didn't quell the skepticism. She leaned into her story of struggle, recalling her time as a waitress when she could barely afford food. "I tried to stop caring," she said. "I tried to just keep my head down, work my shifts, and accept that this is just how things are. But that is no way to live. Arizona, it's no way to live. What I do know is that we don't have to live like this. And in fact, we cannot live like this anymore." The words were meant to resonate with her base, framing her as a relatable figure who rose from hardship. But for critics like Kelly and Gutfeld, this was just another performance, a well-rehearsed chapter in AOC's ongoing saga of turning personal anecdotes into political capital. Megyn Kelly didn't hold back, delivering a surgical dissection of AOC's persona. She argued that AOC's appeal isn't rooted in intellectual depth, but in her ability to perform. Kelly described AOC's speeches as emotional self-help slogans, not substantive policy arguments. "She doesn't debate," Kelly said. "She dramatizes. She doesn't argue with facts. She lashes out with feelings." According to Kelly, AOC turns every disagreement into a moral crisis, casting opponents not just as wrong but as enemies of progress. This, Kelly argued, is where the danger lies. AOC's habit of framing dissent as betrayal shuts down real discussion. Kelly pointed to AOC's policies, like the Green New Deal, as emblematic of her approach. Big on rhetoric, short on logistics. She compared it to a middle school science fair project, all sparkly poster board and confidence, but no math to back it up. Kelly also took aim at AOC's social media obsession, accusing her of treating Congress like a content studio. "She didn't come to govern," Kelly said. "She came to perform." From Instagram Lives surrounded by cat mugs and ring lights to carefully staged TikToks, AOC's online presence is a cornerstone of her brand. Kelly mocked her for turning press conferences into audition tapes, as if she's vying for a starring role in a drama that exists only in her head. The hypocrisy, Kelly noted, is glaring. AOC rails against capitalism while enjoying first-class flights and elite galas, preaching climate justice while racking up more air miles than a touring DJ. Her environmentalism, Kelly argued, has the depth of a bumper sticker, her policies as consistent as a weather forecast scribbled in crayon. Greg Gutfeld, meanwhile, brought his signature comedic flair to the roast, painting AOC as a walking caricature of performative politics. He described her as strutting through Capitol Hill like it's her personal runway, turning every hallway into a spotlight and every disagreement into a tearful meltdown. "She treats politics like reality TV," Gutfeld quipped, acting like she's the heroine in a chaotic group challenge while everything crashes and burns behind her. He zeroed in on her social media antics, joking that she posts more videos than influencers with million-dollar contracts, except her content is allergic to facts. Gutfeld imagined her team huddled around ring lights, shouting about climate justice while someone snaps thirst traps in an SUV. Gutfeld's sharpest barbs targeted AOC's emotional displays. He called her crying a superpower, always timed perfectly for the cameras. "She turns routine decisions into Shakespearean tragedies," he said, complete with trembling voice and dramatic pauses. According to Gutfeld, if AOC loses a policy battle, it's not just a disagreement, it's the collapse of civilization with better stage lighting. He recounted her arrest at a protest where she mimicked being handcuffed, raising her fist to supporters in a theatrical display. If her pants had cuffs, she'd have pretended to be in leg irons too, Gutfeld joked, calling it a performance as tall a tale as her claim of nearly being killed on January 6th. The critique extended to AOC's policies, which Gutfeld dismissed as sabotage and glitter. He likened the Green New Deal to building IKEA furniture blindfolded, tossing out the manual, and blaming the chair when it collapses. Her foreign policy takes, he said, are a mix of feeling bad, blaming America, and disappearing when logistics come up. Her solution to global conflict would be a caption contest and a quinoa potluck, he quipped. Gutfeld argued that AOC's ideas aren't new, they're recycled from 1980s Berkeley protests, repackaged with a modern aesthetic. She's like an 80-year-old leftist in a used bookstore, he said. She may look fresh, but she's as stale as an abandoned futon on the street. Both Kelly and Gutfeld hammered AOC's contradictions. She demands accountability, but dodges it herself, screams for transparency, but only for pre-approved questions. Kelly pointed out how AOC plays both revolutionary and victim, depending on what gets more clicks. Gutfeld mocked her for acting like criticism is persecution, comparing her to a toddler denied candy. He questioned her claim to represent working families, noting she spends more time on magazine shoots than engaging with real constituents. Her red carpet stunts, like the infamous Tax the Rich dress, were about as subtle as a jackhammer in a library, he said, accusing her of stealing attention from real issues while delivering speeches that sound like tweets run through a thesaurus. The Yorktown Heights revelation fueled much of the criticism. AOC has long portrayed herself as a Bronx girl, a narrative that resonates with her base. But the yearbook photo and accounts from schoolmates, as reported by the New York Post, painted a different picture. She lived in the Bronx only until age 5, spending her childhood in Westchester, a wealthier, more white-collar area. Kelly mocked AOC's response to this, her quip about going to high school, as a weak deflection. It's not the fanciest of Westchester towns, Kelly said of Yorktown Heights, but it ain't the Bronx by any measure. She accused AOC of stretching her bartender backstory into a Marvel-level origin story, as if she invented hardship. Gutfeld piled on, joking that her next campaign slogan might be, "From cocktails to Congress, a revolution in heels." Social media amplified the roast, with users mocking AOC's faux handcuff protest moment and her broader persona. Critics called her out for imitating a congresswoman, not just being one. Gutfeld described her as the queen of delayed memories, claiming she conveniently recalls trauma when it aligns with a trending hashtag or a bill needing support. Her emotional flashbacks drop right on cue, he said, like clockwork, when the press starts losing interest. He imagined her winning an award for political improv, delivering a tearful acceptance speech thanking herself for surviving the chaos she created. Kelly's critique was more sobering. She argued that AOC's biggest flaw isn't her policies, but her addiction to performance. She erased the line between politics and theater, Kelly said, turning congressional work into a drama series where she's the misunderstood heroine. Every speech, tweet, and meltdown is just another episode, complete with curated photo shoots and Instagram-ready breakdowns that end with a link to her merch store. Kelly pointed to AOC's selective outrage, how she lights up over internet trends but ignores the grind of governance. She's quick with slogans, silent on results, Kelly said, predicting that AOC's biggest enemy will be time. No matter how loud the hashtags get, people eventually want results. And all the filters in the world won't save her then. Gutfeld wrapped up with a vivid metaphor, comparing AOC's crisis management to a fireman showing up to a blaze with a scented candle and a vlog camera. She's less interested in fixing problems and more obsessed with documenting the struggle, he said, curating moments like content, not chaos. Her fans, he added, eat it up like political popcorn, ignoring facts for the vibe. Kelly, meanwhile, zeroed in on AOC's moralizing, how she turns policy into sermons and disagreement into sin. She'll guilt-trip you over a plastic straw, then hop on a private jet to her next outrage-fueled gig, Kelly said, smirking at the hypocrisy. The roast wasn't just about AOC's policies or background, it was about her entire brand. Gutfeld and Kelly painted her as a carefully packaged product, sold as a revolution but powered by Wi-Fi and filters. She's not dangerous, Gutfeld said. She's predictable. He described her as reading from a recycled script, with costume changes and protest signs as props. Kelly agreed, calling AOC a walking slogan machine, stuck on loop with no rebuttals or witty clapbacks, just silence when truly exposed. They argued her appeal comes from mastering noise, not answers, turning complex issues into viral performances with no follow-through.